Hello, this is Jamie Green, editor of Investment Advisor magazine and thinkadvisor.com, reporting from the IMCA annual conference in Boston. And I'm very pleased to have with me today John Nersesian, who's the chairman of IMCA for 2014 through 2016. And part of his time, he's actually got a job as well at Nuveen Investments as a managing director working with advisors. So, John, welcome. Nice to see you again.
Thank you very much.
As chair of IMCA, what's your job really? What do you focus on, and where's the organization going?
Sure. So clearly, one of our focuses is making sure that we continue to set leadership goals and objectives for the association. It's an association that's been around for more than 30 years. It's been very successful due to the hard work of others. Our responsibility as a current board is to make sure that we identify the key issues in our industry and that we continue to position the services and products of IMCA so that they're relevant for advisors in the future. We've got a great legacy between the SEMA and the CPWA curriculum, but we've got some new initiatives that we're beginning this year that we think will help us be successful.
Well, what are those initiatives?
Okay, we use a catchy phrase called CAPS. CAPS stands for Content, Awareness, Pricing, and Standards. And we think all four of those components are relevant to our membership, our constituency. Content ensures that, once again, we're providing the very best and most relevant services to a SEMA charter holder or a CPWA charter holder. We've made recent additions or changes to the SEMA curriculum to make sure that it's as relevant today as it was 30 years ago. We've added material on behavioral finance, the investment consulting process, alternative investments, and risk management, which we think are necessary skills for today's consultative advisor. On awareness, one of the things that our members have told us is that they want the SEMA designation to be relevant and recognized within the space. And so we're spending a lot of time and energy making sure that we get the word out so that our stakeholders have a more valuable certification behind their name. On pricing, we hear it often, that the world is becoming a more price-sensitive place and that we need to respond to those pricing challenges as well. So we've kept membership fees flat. We've done a number of things in terms of bringing conferences locally to different markets at very low cost price points, enabling our members to have access to content and to gain CE credits in a more affordable manner. And then finally with standards, there's this big issue out there in terms of what are the standards that we should be representing. I think we've done a great job with ANSI certification. The SEMA certification is the only one in our industry that has received ANSI certification here throughout the United States, and we think that means something to the designation and to our charter holders.
I think you're right. And talk to me, many people know about SEMA, but what about the CPWA? That's a more recent designation.
Good call. So SEMA's been around for, 35 years. CPWA has been developed over the past 7 years, and we thought that we were addressing a need in the marketplace. So in addition to the investment consulting expertise that an advisor gains through a SEMA experience, CPWA complements it, we think, quite well. It provides the practitioner with perspective on tax, on charitable giving, on estate planning, on working with closely held business owners and the complex needs of corporate executives, providing them with a comprehensive skill set that we think is necessary to serve today's wealthy family.
So all those services that a wealth manager would
Yeah, if you want to think about it or compartmentalize it, SEMA's about the investment consulting process, right? The investment advice that clients expect to receive from an investment advisor. CPWA are all the complementary skills and services that are related to that overall wealth management relationship.
So you're a SEMA holder yourself.
Yeah.
Why did you get a SEMA to begin with? What difference has it made in your own career?
This may sound a little corny to you. I was in practice. I was doing what I thought was a great job for the clients that I served. But I always had this intellectual curiosity. What else is out there to be learned that I don't already know? I'd heard about the SEMA curriculum. I'd heard about the great reviews that it received and the valuable benefits that it provided, the SEMA certificates. So I took the plunge. Went into it, not really knowing what to expect. It was maybe the great experience of my professional life. I found that I've benefited from that SEMA experience in many ways. In fact, ways beyond just the letters behind my name. I remember attending a presentation. It was a nonprofit group in New York City It's a cold winter day. I walk into the room. There are 8 trustees on one side of the table and me on the other. And one of the trustees, before I can even take off my coat or put down my briefcase, he points his finger at me and he says, "So tell me, what's your information ratio?" How's that for good morning?
Very nice.
So I told him what our information ratio was. I told him how it was calculated. I told him what it meant. And then I began to describe to him our approach to designing portfolios for entities like theirs. At the end of the day, I don't think the trustee really wanted to know what our information ratio was. I think what he really wanted to know is that we knew our stuff. We had the skills necessary to provide them with appropriate counsel.
So it showed competency, right? Yeah. Which is, and I know you work with a lot of advisors. You're a former advisor yourself.
Yep.
I asked, Alan Blinder was here yesterday as the keynote speaker, and I asked him what I thought was an excellent question, which was whether he had any advice for advisors on how to work with clients to manage their expectations, which is can be a challenge not just in difficult times, difficult times for the markets or the economy,
Right.
but often when times are very good, like last year.
Sure.
And he said, good luck with that. Not really his competency, I guess.
Sounds like a true academic,
Yeah,
right?
well, exactly, yes, on the one hand and on the other. But what do you think about that in terms of managing expectations? And is that something that the advisors you talk to talk about? And is part of that starting with competency, that's where I'm going with this, but then moving on maybe towards trust?
I think you've hit the nail on the head. I really do. I think in order to be a successful advisor in today's marketplace, the tools are one thing, of course. So access to investment vehicles that make sense for our clients, that satisfy their risk and return objectives, our competency in terms of being able to provide relevant advice to those clients, those are all essential, of course, in that relationship. But there's another ingredient. It's the behavioral or the human or the emotional side of the equation. We can have access to the best tools, but if we don't use them effectively, we're not going to have a very productive outcome. So one of the areas that's gained a lot of attention is this whole dynamic around behavioral finance or behavioral economics. And in fact, to recognize or reflect upon that growing trend, we are hosting a conference this summer.
With Dan Ariely, right?
You got it.
Duke,
That's it.
Great.
He is fantastic. We've had nothing but rave reviews about his work, about the presentations he's given, and given that feedback, we've decided to launch a 2-day certificate program down at Duke, solely focused on the behavioral issues in an advisory relationship.
So part of that challenge of working with client expectations is to know where those expectations are coming from, whether they're based in certain biases that may be of long standing with that client. So for an advisor to be able to recognize what's going on there goes a long way towards obviously understanding what you need to do, what you need to say, where you need to lead the client, so that they have a better chance of success.
I think that's well said. When I got into the business 35 years ago as a college graduate, I thought that my job was going to be managing money. And of course, that's part of what we do.
Right.
But what I think my job was really focused on was managing clients, managing their behaviors, managing their decision-making process, trying to once again provide guidance and structure to help them achieve successful outcomes.
So speaking of managing money, and I have to ask you this, you're with Nuveen, which is known for its expertise in, fixed income in general, but especially in munis. What's the, and I don't know if you were able to listen to Professor Blinder last night, what's the Nuveen take on where interest rates are going and how inflation might play into clients' portfolios?
Sure. There are probably others at the firm who are better equipped to provide our firm response on that, but I'll share with you the anecdotal commentary that we've heard, which is that rates have surprised and will continue to surprise clients and investors on the low side of the equation. I think if we had done a poll a year ago, Jamie, everybody would have bet that rates were going to be significantly higher this year than they were last. And that's not been the case. Here we are today on May 5th, and the 10-year Treasury's below 260. And who would have guessed that? I think every other expectation or forecast were for something much greater than that. We think fixed income absolutely deserves in a client portfolio for a variety of reasons. Not only the income stream that it provides, but maybe more importantly, the diversification that it provides during periods of equity volatility. Money that is in bonds or fixed income, by definition, is money that is not available to be invested in stocks during market declines. And so that balance we find is important in managing portfolio volatility.
Well, great. Thank you, John Nersesian, Chair of IMCA and Managing Director at Nuveen Investments. And thank you, viewers. This is Jamie Green signing off.